Welcome back to Skincology. I'm Yes. Today we're talking about how to make a grow tent enclosure for a ball python with a step-by-step guide and shopping list. This process isn't exclusive to ball pythons. If you're looking to make a grow tent for any snake, stick around. This is my ball python, Sam. Sam is approximately 3 years old and a little shy, but a perfect angel. This is his 4x2x2 grow tent enclosure that he's been living in for just over a year now. It's fully planted and bioactive and has UVB. I'm not going to go over the pros and cons of using grow tents as enclosures in this video, but I will link a couple of videos about that subject in the description from other creators in case you're still on the fence about grow tents. The tippy tap sounds you hear in the background are these rascals. So first off, the tent itself. Sam is currently in an off-brand tent that I purchased locally. The price was right, but now that I have experience with Vivasun tents, I can say definitively that they are worth the money. Oftentimes they are the same price or only a tiny bit more money than the off-brand ones, and the quality difference is miles apart, especially in the zipper. This is the off-brand zipper. Catches a little. This is a Vivasun zipper. The company that sold me this tent is no longer selling tents in this size, so the link in the description will be for a Vivasun 4x2x2 instead. First you have to build your tent, which is just putting together the frames. They peg together like this. You have these little corner pieces. It's pretty straightforward, and again a lot easier with Vivasun because the quality is higher. You can just kind of pop things in. This off-brand tent, I hurt my thumb pushing the pegs down. Okay, so your tent is built. It's time to install windows. The standard recommendation is 20 gauge vinyl. You can get away with something thinner since ball pythons don't have claws, but I did once come into the room and Margot, my boa, had knocked a branch down that was poking into her vinyl but hadn't managed to poke through. I think with thinner vinyl she would have popped a hole in it and escaped, so I always recommend sticking with the 20 gauge for peace of mind. For sewing it on, you'll want a curved mattress needle, and I use braided fishing line, but I've heard of people having success with other thicker threads as well. Last thing you'll want for this stage is hot glue. Place the vinyl over the tent and hot glue it loosely in place. From there you can sew it on, and at the end do another round of hot glue for the seams. Sam has never tried poking his face into the seams, but my Russian rat snake Dracula found that to be the weakest spot in his tent in less than a week and would have probably broken out by pushing the seams loose in another week if I hadn't noticed and reinforced his seams with hot glue. I also have a video about how to sew a window onto a grow tent that you can check out for more detailed instructions. The link is down below. Heating and lighting also requires some work to make it safe for tents. On my first tent, I cut a hole in the roof and secured chicken wire in a wooden frame so that I could have external lighting and heat lamps. This worked well, but I lost a lot of heat with the lamps being on the outside, so I switched to interior heat from that point onwards. Right now, my preferred setup for heat for snakes in tents is to get a wood board, seal it with water-based polyacrylic, and use that to mount heat lamps and cages like you would in a hardtop enclosure. You will also need sandpaper for the process of sealing the wood. I screw in little round eye screws to the sides of the wood so that heat and lights can be zip tied in place. Here's what that looks like in a few of my snake tents. Another option is to buy heat lamps that already come with cages, like this one I'm using in Dracula's tent, which is a really simple solution as well. So you've got your tent built and the windows sewn on. Next steps are getting it ready for substrate and decorating. You'll want a waterproof tarp. You'll also want a million zip tie for securing the side vents, lights, and probably also for securing stuff for climbing. Zip tie the inside and outside of each vent except for the ones you'll be using to route your cables from. I like to use the top vent if there is one, otherwise go for one of the sides closest to where you're planning your hot side. And a quick FYI, zip ties are recyclable where I live, and if you're anything like me, you'll go through a few while figuring out your final configuration. Recycle where possible. The plants are golden pothos, spider plants, philodendron Brazil, and one more that I think is a pothos, but I forget the name of. Since snakes are not plant eaters, your options are pretty well endless as long as you don't add anything spiky, thorny, or smelly. One thing to keep in mind with plants is that ball pythons are pretty heavy-bodied, so anything that you add should be big and established enough to survive some trampling, or secured and surrounded in a way that your snake doesn't have to smush it so that it stands a chance. Here's an example in Margot's tent. You can see that there's a branch behind, around, and in front of this Dracaena. The rest is up to you. Sam's enclosure has 5 hides, a curtain rod wrapped in twine for climbing, one of those seagrass mats as a shelf, some plastic garden lining to create some levels in there, and black fabric liner as the background. The last thing that you need to buy is a lock for the zippers. I use luggage locks because they're little and they hold the 2 zippers together. And that's it! Your grow tent enclosure is done! If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm always around. I just want to give a quick shout out to my patron, Billy. Thank you so much for your support. My Patreon funds all go towards building this channel up or fostering and rescuing reptiles, which I'm hoping to do a lot more of in the future. If you're interested in checking that out, the link for that is also down below. Billy, you're a fucking all-star. All of you are also all-stars. I wish you the best in your grow tent conversion, and I hope that your snake has a healthy and long life.